Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be upgrading the low pressure fuel pump to stage 2 on the cheap as a DIY instead of buying a bucketless system for around $400. Those systems do have their advantages, but the disadvantages are quite minimal, and the cost difference between doing it yourself and buying one of those is pretty steep. So I figured, let me try this, see how it works out. I'm doing it so that I can bump up my E85 mixture to E50 to run a different tune, and I'm kind of maxing out my stock fuel pump. This is actually my original fuel pump that I changed proactively. It was working, but I changed it out just because of the mileage on the car. It's a completely OEM piece, so we're going to use this. Ideally you'll be modifying your stock one, but if you can get your hands on a secondary one, that would be even better in case you screw up. You probably find them on the cheap, but all in all, I'd like to credit a blog post that I found this on. So there it is right there. This person here actually shows you how to do it. I'm doing a slight variation on what they're showing here, but same premise. You know, they kind of showed me that this can be done on the cheap, and I figured let me make a guide out of it in video form. So a couple things to make this happen. You're going to want to order this Walbro 450 pump. I got it on Amazon for $119, the full kit. I got this is my own concoction here, these two pieces here. I read a few blog posts on this and I realized that this could probably work out nicely. So that's your quick connect that goes to the stock fuel line on the car. And we have this. I'm going to put these part numbers in the description, but that's that there. This is a 90-degree AN fitting, 6 AN. That will accept fuel hose, and when you take this piece here, if you notice, this has got a concave shape to it, that's got a beveled shape, and they just compression fit together. So you basically screw them together tight, around 12 to 16 foot-pounds. So you'll put your fuel line here, and it'll go to the Walbro pump, and that's your quick disconnect. So the first step we're going to want to do here is to remove this top hat here off the bucket. You're going to want to disconnect these two power leads. Pocket screwdriver here, we're going to go after these connectors. You can just cut this, or you can try to salvage it by using a trim tool. There you go. Can be reused if needed. We'll set that aside. I'm actually going to clean this up and come back. Alright, got that cleaned up. Now we're going to focus in on this piece here. This green wire here, it's cable managed around the side. Like so. You want to remove that. Now you want to pry this forward so you can pull it up, because there's a couple, set this aside, there's a couple tabs here and here. Now we got to get this top piece here separated. It's actually just melted to the white plastic bucket. So I'm gonna try a couple methods. I'm gonna use a heat gun and a screwdriver to separate that. So there's one right here. I'm gonna see if I just heat this pocket knife up, if I can get that to separate. It's not really working that great. I could put a lot of force, but I'm going to try to just heat up the actual bucket. You get a screwdriver. And just FYI, hopefully this goes without saying, make sure that your bucket is free of fuel. This has been sitting for months, so it doesn't even smell like fuel anymore. Alright, so managed to separate this. It's important because we need this to cable manage your stock fuel lines, etc. Set that aside. Now we have to separate this. So it's bonded in the same way, so it's not going to be fun, that's for sure, but I'm going to heat it from the inside out now. That wasn't too bad. I was able to break that free. There you go. This stayed in there. There's your bucket. That's the Venturi. Okay, before we move any further, we're gonna set aside the stock pump. I'll grab that pigtail off it after. Here's the Walbro. Just a quick observation here, if you notice, that distance is the same. That's why it will clip right on. The diameter is the same too. So that's why it works. It's kind of like an adapter to go from that. Because right now, it's just a barbed fitting, like that. So that's why I have this. And then we're going to put the hose in between to give us a good connection, and then we can clip on from here. You have the sock that goes on the bottom. Let's set up the harness. So we'll clip this here. I don't like the included crimp connectors here, so I'm going to remove these. They don't shrink down properly, even with a lot of heat. Alright, I'm happier with that. It's a good solid connection. So you go down as far as you can on that. And that's going to live. It's going to go in there, but it's going to sit lower than it was, as you can see. So we're kind of making this like a bucketless system because we're going to cut into here using a Dremel so the sock can stick out. I'm going to clean this work area up and then I'll come back. Okay, so we've set the fuel pump in there. You want the outlet going toward here, and it's not going to be in the exact same orientation as it was originally. So you got the shorter pegs going here now and the long peg going here, so you'll see that they're not lined up in the same way as stock, but that's so that it can sit centered and low down in the bucket. Alright, the next step is going to be to attach this hose. So I want to measure out the total length here so that it will butt up right against here. And use a slight bit of lubrication to help it go on. So I'm following that blog post, and I'm going to get ready to cut this via Dremel now. Alright, I'm gonna go clean that up. Alright, got that all cleaned up. Now we're gonna install the filter sock on the pump and test fit. Sticks out a little bit, but seems to be perfect for a shot. Now we want to, and you got to just make sure that your float assembly, when you reinstall it, won't interfere, which it doesn't. Now it's time to secure the pump. So I'm going to drill here and put zip ties. Alright, so that's looking good. Now we gotta secure this. Alright, let's reinstall the float. Plug in our sub harness. Here we can see the float working. Around this side we'll have clear access to the actual vent tube here. The two lines coming from the pressure regulator are going to be able to snap in here, no problem. And the unit can compress. This kind of moves up and down. It's on a flexible hose in the middle, but alright, I gotta tighten up this before we attempt to install it on the car. That was a 5/8 by the way. It should be 17. Alright, so I have this thing ready to go. I pulled the sock in just so that it will not interfere with the actual float assembly here. And I have shown you guys how to swap out your fuel pump on your car. I have a video that I'll link in the description showing you how to remove your stock fuel pump and install the new one. So I don't have to go into too much detail here. I'm going to put this in the car and I'll just show me connecting this one pipe here as it's different. And then I'll put the car back together, and once I'm ready to start up on this new pump, I'll bring you guys back in. So you'll just see me connecting this, and then we'll conclude when I'm ready to start the car. So here's the stock line, and I'll show you how it snaps in. Just like that. That's the only thing that's any different. So pretty straightforward. I'm going to get this put back together now. Before I put the back seat cushion into place, I'm going to give it a start. we're good, working perfectly. So I'm going to put the seat rest back into place and then I'll conclude this video. So it's running great. For anyone wondering, I can't hear the pump at all. There's no noise from the back, no humming or anything like that, so it's just as quiet as a stock pump. But now we're stage 2, 455 liters per hour, and it's working good. So all in all, a couple things to consider. That rubber hose along with the AN fittings looked a little long, but doesn't matter. When I tucked it into the tank, I could still compress that spring part of the top hat down without even really making contact with it. It doesn't interfere, it's not getting bent or anything like that, which I was happy to see. So no issues there, that worked out fine. Now, if you do this, it's kind of similar to going bucketless, because you're modifying the bucket, you're cutting it up, so it's not going to hold fluid in the bucket when you're really low, like under a liter of fuel left. If you punch it, you can get fuel starvation, or if you're on a track under half a tank. That's from that blog post where they mentioned that if you really, you're no worse for wear if you than if you had went bucketless. So ideally try to keep your tank at least half full. That would just be a good practice anyway. It keeps the pump cool. It is quite low in there, so it actually will be cooled right down to probably just a few liters left in the tank anyway. But all in all, 135 bucks. I'm stage 2. I'm gonna data log and make sure I got good flow and the high pressure fuel pump's happy. We'll measure rail pressure and whatnot at the low pressure side. My low pressure fuel sensor is actually relatively new, so that's reading accurately. So once all checks out, I'm gonna go ahead and upgrade to E50, E85 mix, and on the new version 8 MHD beta maps, and I'll let you know what kind of difference it makes. So hopefully you guys found this video useful. Shout out to the guy that made that blog post. Definitely saved a bunch of money, and it seemed to have worked out well. So thanks for watching and good luck. Consider subscribing for more content like this. I upload regularly.
Wow.